Hello friends, welcome back to this video session on Java programming fundamentals. We are discussing interfaces in Java, and in this video I'll talk about the new features added in JDK 1.8 with respect to interfaces. So till JDK 7, interface allows only abstract methods in it. But since the introduction of JDK 1.8, we can add the default methods in interface, as well as we can also add the static methods in an interface. So let us understand what are these default methods and static methods inside an interface with a demo. So let me create an interface. com.kpit.demo.java8, and then I'll create an interface called as sample. So we know till now this interface will contain only this abstract method. By default it is public and abstract. In Java 8 we can also add a static method. So static public void demo, and then I can print something in this method. So this is a demo method. Okay, now see there is no error because I'm using JDK 1.8, but if I use JDK 7 and try to compile this line of code will give the error. So let me create a tester class in order to call this, and then I'll put a main method into it, and then I'll create an say sample dot demo. That's it. See, I'm not creating a class also in order to implement that sample interface and then uh, uh, create or call this demo method. No, because we know static methods belongs to the class or interface here in this case. Now this demo method belongs to this interface. But in order to call this show method, we have to have a class implementing the sample interface, and then there should be an implementation of show method, and then we can call it that way. But in order to call the static methods, we do not require an object. So even we do not require this tester class in order to just call this demo method. What we can do is we can also add a public static void main into this interface itself, and then say sample dot demo. See here, and I'll run this class. So unlike JDK 7, JDK 5, we have to have a separate class which is containing a main method, and then that is an entry point. But here I'm doing that into my interface itself. So that is also fine in JDK 1. Now this is not used for this kind of purpose, like just to put a main method into it and then call the demo methods. So when you have some static members and that you want to initialize into the interface, then we can create a static method into an interface and then use it. Okay, so that is all about static methods in interface. Similarly, we can also put a default method into an interface, like default public void test, and then I'll say this is a test method. Okay, so this is the default method. So if I do not put this keyword default, there will be an error, because this means I'm defining a method into an interface, and that is not allowed in Java. So you cannot define a method inside an interface, correct? But you can define a default method. So what does this default method mean? Let's understand with a demo again. So let us say I have an interface called as shape, okay, and then I have this method in it, public void draw, okay, and then there are two classes called triangle and circle. So circle is a shape, so I'll say implements shape, and then I will implement this draw method into that circle class. Circle is drawn, Okay, and similarly I'll create a triangle class which again implements a shape, and then I'll provide the implementation of this draw method. Triangle is drawn. Okay, so these are the two classes I have. So now my application is, let's say, working fine. Then let me just create the tester2 class. I'll put a main method into it. I'll create an reference of this shape. Shape is equal to new circle and shape dot just to call it. Okay, I'll just run it now. Correct. So my application is working fine. But let's say in future I want to add some functionality to that interface. Now let's say the circle has to have one more method. This triangle has to have some method into it. So, and I want to force these two classes to have those methods. So now after a few days, my application is running fine, and then I go and change my interface and add this method, calculate area method. Correct? So now if I add this method and I save this code, this is fine, but these two classes are now giving the error. These two classes are giving the error. Why? Because we have added a new method into the interface, and that we are not implementing into the circle class as well as this triangle class. So if you make any change into the interface, you will have to go to the respective class, implement the interface, the existing classes, and then make that change, incorporate that change. Correct? So now let's say we know these are the two classes implementing the shape interface, so we can go to the circle class and triangle class and then make that change. What if we do not know the classes which are also implementing the shape interface? In our application, there may be n number of classes implementing the interface. So you have to go to all those classes and make that change when you are doing the small change into your interface. So in order to avoid this problem, what we can do is we can just put this as a default method and then provide a default implementation. So this is the default implementation, which is empty, which is empty. So now whichever classes wants to override that method, they can override the method and provide the implementation. Okay. And those classes who do not want to override, they do not want to override that method, they can simply use the default implementation of that calculate area method. Right, so now there's no issue at all in these two classes because they are using the circle is using that implementation, so it is implemented, and triangle class is using the default implementation. That is absolutely fine. And whichever classes which we do not know are implementing the shape interface, though those classes are also using the default implementation. This how this default method uh, can be used for providing this functionality where we can change the interface and then that we can incorporate in all the other classes. So these are the two features that Java has got with respect to an interface. So thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video.